Welcome back to another episode of Lost in Translation. This is Rabbi Moshe Rothschild coming to you from the land of Israel. And this episode is titled The Power of One. And in case you don't know who I am, this is me, this handsome fellow on the bottom left here, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild of Teach Israel. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in. The book of Exodus tells us in chapter 6, verse 1, "And the Lord said to Moses, Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a mighty hand he will send them out, and with a mighty hand he will drive them out of his land." So we all know the background. The Jewish people are slaves in Egypt, and God tells Moses that the time has come and he's going to take the Jewish people out of the land. But what is the point of the Exodus? Is the whole idea simply just to take them out from being slaves to becoming free people? But is it more than that? So I ask you a very, very simple question. What is the point? So if we jump ahead a little bit to in chapter 6 in the book of Exodus, and we look at some of the verses here, we're going to uncover the whole idea or the whole point behind the Exodus. So let's look at Exodus chapter 6 verse 3. God tells Moses, "I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." So the Exodus is rooted in history. It's not simply just an event that God comes down, he hears about, sees these oppressed people, and wants to take them out. But rather, he refers back to his appearance to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in verse 4 he says, "And also I established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan." Okay, so that is what he's referring to in verse 3. When it says he appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he's referring to the eternal covenant that we saw in the book of Genesis, and that is the promise to give them the land of Canaan, which is what today we call the land of Israel. And in verse 6, God says, "Therefore say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will take you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians." So with that background, that God gave the land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, go and tell the children of Israel that I'm going to take them out of slavery. And in verse 7, not only am I going to take them out, but God says, "And I will take you to me as a people, and I will be a God to you." Right? So he's not only going to take them out and bring them to the land of Israel, but he's going to take them as a people. This is a reference to bringing them to Sinai, to giving them the Ten Commandments, the revelation of God at Sinai, and that is, so to speak, the marriage between God and the Jewish people. And finally, I want to draw your attention to verse 8, where it says, "I will bring you to the land, concerning which I raised my hand to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you as a heritage. I am the Lord." So it's a nice, neat little package. It begins first, God says to Moses, "I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob. I gave them a covenant of the land. Therefore, I'm going to take them out of the land. I'm going to bring them to Sinai to make the covenant with them. They will become my people. I will become their God." This is a reference to the revelation. "And then I will take them to the land." So in other words, we're leaving Egypt. We're heading to the land of Israel. There will be a stop along the way at Mount Sinai, and there I will give them the Ten Commandments, and I will reveal myself to them through the revelation. So let's take a look at what happens at Mount Sinai. So the Bible tells us in Hebrew, and take a look, follow the bouncing ball, even though if you don't read Hebrew, you can follow. It says, "Vayis'u me'Refidim, vayavo midbar Sinai, vayachanu ba'midbar, vayichan sham Yisrael neged ahar." Now let's take a look at three translations that I chose randomly that I found on the internet as they translate this verse. The New International Version says, "After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain, or the English Standard Version, they set out from Rephidim, came into the wilderness of Sinai, and then camped in the wilderness. There Israel encamped before the mountain, or the King James Bible, for they were departed from Rephidim, were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mountain. So basically, they're all saying the same thing, that they left, they traveled from Rephidim, they came to Mount Sinai, they camped in the wilderness. The Israelites did, that is, opposite or in front of the mountain. Now, when you read those three translations, there is nothing that jumps out at you, no powerful lesson that we can learn from this text, other than simply the historical story of what happened. So let's take a look closely at the Hebrew, and we're going to see something awesome. Here's the Hebrew again. Now let's take a look. We're going to translate this line by line. They traveled from Rephidim, or in Hebrew, Vayisu meRephidim. I underline Vayisu means they traveled. Then it says, they came to the Sinai wilderness. Vayavo means they came. That's the verb, Vayavo midbar Sinai. Then, they camped in the wilderness. The Hebrew is Vayachanu bamidbar. They camped in the wilderness. Now here is the interesting part. The Israelites encamped, singular, opposite the mountain. Okay, so what is the issue here? It says, look at the Hebrew, Vayisu. You see this letter here? That is pronounced as an U, which makes it plural. Vayisu, they traveled. Vayavo u. You see that again? They came to the wilderness of Sinai. Vayachanu. Again, the U sound, they camped, it's plural. Now look. Vayichan, which is singular, right? As if there's only one person, right? See, look, it says Vayisu, Vayavo'u, Vayachanu, Vayichan. You can hear the difference. This word should have said Vayachanu, like this one. They camped opposite the mountain. But the Hebrew actually says it in the singular. And they camped, the Jewish people camped opposite the mountain, but the word Vayichan is singular. Why would the Bible suddenly make a quote-unquote, a grammatical error? It says that they traveled, they came, they camped, and now it doesn't say they, but it's as if it's one person. So say the rabbis of the Midrashim, which is written some 2,000 years ago, a very beautiful, powerful lesson. Are you ready? Why is it written in the singular? Because the sages said the Torah wanted to teach us a powerful lesson, that when they encamped at the mountain, they were like one person with one heart. Even though there were hundreds of thousands, even maybe 2 or 3 million people at the mountain, when they camped, it was as if there was just one person there. Like one person with one heart. This is a very important message, friends. If you want to receive God, if you want to receive the revelation, if you want to receive the Bible, if you want to receive the 10 Commandments, you have to see the whole world as unified. We have to feel that we are all connected to each other, like one person with one heart. We have to have deep, unbound love for each other. And that is the only true way that one can receive God into their life, is if they see everyone and this whole world as unified, like one person with one heart. This has been Rabbi Moshe Rothschild with Teach Israel, wishing you a fantastic and wonderful day from the land of Israel.